Hello, everyone. Glad you're here for this episode of Life After 55. And let me just say, I took a nasty spill a couple of weeks back, and it wasn't pretty. Actually, I face planted on our kitchen floor, and when I got up, I wound up getting a bloody nose. I cut the side of my face open, my eye. Here, let me, hold on. Let me put my face here so you see who I am and that I am fine. I am not, there we go. Hello. Anyhow, it was about 2 weeks ago. I took a nasty spill in the kitchen, and it was just because I was being a klutz. It wasn't, my legs gave out or anything like that. But it wasn't pretty. I face planted, like I said, on the floor. My glasses got bent to heck and back. And I wound up with a bloody nose, and I cut my eye on the side when I bounced off the kitchen table, which that still has a little bit of a scab, but it's fine now. I'm fine. Anyways, 1 second I was walking like a champ, and the next I looked like a fish out of water. Now, I can laugh at it now looking back, but at the time it wasn't so funny, and it really wasn't when it first happened. Falls are pretty scary, and that one kind of shocked me into reality, and fall and winter is right around the corner, which means icy steps, wet leaves, slick sidewalks. Let's just say that, gravity is not always our friend, when it comes to not falling and stuff. That's why in today's episode, we are going to talk about something that could literally save your health, save your independence, and maybe even your life. And the topic again is fall prevention. So quick note before we dive in. Let's do the disclaimer, and the person who wrote my notes for me didn't write them the way I wanted them, so I am going to read this right off the slide. And this video is for educational purposes only. I am not a doctor, a medical professional, or a counselor in any way, shape, or form. The information that I provide here is based on my own research and my own experiences. This is not medical advice, and you should always, always, always check with your healthcare provider or your medical professional before trying any new remedies or changing your routine, especially if you are taking medication or you are managing some sort of a health condition. Okay, so there you have it. There's the mandatory disclaimer. I don't want anybody coming back saying, oh, he told me to do this, that, or whatever. No, I am just telling you what works for me and my experience and my research has brought me to. And hopefully it'll help somebody. Okay, now, super quick. Let me get it together here. Super quick. We are launching a membership a members only website and a newsletter. That's going to happen once we hit 1,000 subscribers here on this channel. Okay. And this is going to include a deeper dive into topics that we've discussed here. There'll be 2 exclusive videos every month, a holistic newspaper with a healthy meal recipe. Or I said newspaper, I meant newsletter. It's a digital newsletter. And yes, I know I promised you guys I would try to have it this week, and I still didn't. Life has been very hectic the last couple weeks. Actually, right now I should be in, I am in my office, but I should be working on my bookkeeping stuff, and I am not. I am doing this because I didn't get this out on time yesterday, which was Thursday. Today is Friday, and normally I try to have these videos out every Thursday. And again, life just took a different path this past week, and I've had tons of stuff to do, and I haven't had a chance to sit down and record this until right now. Actually, I don't even have the chance now, but I am going to do this to get it done. Because I am that committed and I am that reliable, I guess. Little late, but still reliable. But anyways, yeah, it's going to have the newsletter will have a healthy meal recipe. It's going to have another segment called Road Trip with Roy. But I'm going to share details of all that later on in the episode. So right now, let's just dive right into it, okay? Now, here's the truth. Falls are one of the biggest health risks that we face as we get older. Every year, millions of adults over 55 take a fall. In fact, it's the number one reason that our age group ends up in the emergency room. Sometimes it's just a bruise to the ego, much like my recent tumble, and other times it can mean a broken hip, a hospital stay, and months of recovery in some cases. And the part we don't talk about enough is the fear of falling. That fear can make you less active and less confident. And ironically, that can make a fall more likely. Okay? So let's start at home. If your hallway, this is like a safety thing, to keep, this whole thing is to keep you from falling. And so, if you have a hallway that looks like a booby trap with cables, congratulations, you've built a home obstacle course. What you should do is tuck cords away, keep paths that you frequently walk, actually any path in your house should be clear. Just think of what if there was a fire or something and you had to climb over all kinds of things and you were tripping and falling, you wouldn't make it out alive. So you should always keep paths clear. Now, my son lives with me and he is not the tidiest person, and I don't want to hang him because he's not here right now, but I don't want to hang him or throw shade at him or anything. But, if it was up to him, I sometimes wonder if the house caught on fire, how he would ever get out. Okay, so anyways, the moral of that is keep any walkways, pathways clear. The less stuff you have, the less likely you are to trip over something. Throw rugs. This is another hazard. They're nice to look at until they turn into a slip and slide. If you do use them, use non-slip pads under them. Lighting is another factor. Dark hallways are like a haunted house. Put in brighter bulbs, put in night lights or even motion sensors. These can all make a big difference in lighting so you can see where you're going at night, if you have to get up and use the bathroom or anything like that. Those things are very, very helpful. Bathroom safety, now that we're mentioning bathrooms, we all know wet tile is no joke. Grab bars help, non-slip mats in the tub, maybe even a shower chair if you're not that steady. You may think, well, I don't really want a shower chair, it makes me look older. Listen, nobody sees it except you or whatever, and it could, like I said earlier, it could possibly save your life. You don't want to fall in the shower and split your head open and, you wind up bleeding out in your bathtub or something. That would be horrible. Pride won't protect your tailbone, or any other bones, your hips or anything else for that matter. Stairs is another hazard. Handrails on both sides, if possible, will help immensely. Also, if your stairs are not carpeted, you could add bright tape to the edges of each step so you can see each step. All right. Throw rugs, just a little side note here. They should come with a warning label that, that says something along the lines of may cause spontaneous breakdancing. Okay, but there are a lot of things to look at in your home that can help you prevent falling. And I've also, by the way, I've put together a checklist of things you can check in your home, which you will be able to download and get for yourself, print out or whatever. It should be down in the comments below. And there's that, and there's another thing I put together. I put together two resources for you this week as well, even though I was busy. That's me. I just sacrifice. No, I'm just kidding. But anyways, to prevent falls, we have to stay strong and we have to stay steady. So part of that is strength training. Again, I think I mentioned in the last episode that I started doing some chair yoga. That's, to me, it helps with my balance, and it's going well, by the way, in case you were curious. But I do that, and there's other things you can do, and some of this is even in the chair yoga that I do, like chair squats. That's part of the chair yoga. You can do wall push-ups. You can, stand up from a chair without using your hands. Balance work. You can stand on one foot while brushing your teeth. Remember last week we even talked about heel to toe walking, or like just standing in place and doing a heel to toe stretch or whatever. That helps with your balance too. Or, if you don't want to do any of that, you yourself can try chair yoga, or you can try Tai Chi. Both of those are pretty helpful for balance and mild strength training, and I'm not saying you're going to be a bodybuilder or anything like that. For people our age, these are good things that, they give you something to do instead of sitting there, bored out of your mind and, worrying about this, that, or whatever. It takes your mind off of things like that, everyday things like that. And it also helps, like I said, with your strength and your balance, Vision and hearing. Look, I am not a contacts guy. And again, we talked about this last week. You're not going to ever catch me poking my own eye on purpose. I mean, it's just, like I said last week, it's just a mental thing I have. If I have to wear crooked or taped up glasses, so be it. Now, I was fortunate when I fell and face planted. These glasses that I have on now, I don't think they look so bad. I think they're straight. But anyways, they got bent they were like beyond. I didn't think I could fix them, but I did. I had pliers and whatnot, and I fixed them. I straightened them out. It took us some time, but I did it. And again, I don't think they look bad. And if they do, you can tell me in the comments, hey man, your glasses are crooked, or, they look stupid or whatever. But yeah, I'm not a contacts person. And like I said, the main reason is because I will not poke myself in the eye. It's just a mental block that I have. Now, hearing matters also, my dad, like I said too last week, my dad used to take his hearing aids out so he didn't have to listen to my mom. Smart for him, but not so great if somebody was yelling, hey, watch your step, look out, So, make sure all that stuff, your glasses are, you get your eye exam and your prescription is up to date. Your hearing aids, if you have them, make sure those are turned up enough so you can hear, potential warnings or hazards, whatever the case might be. And then, watch your medications. Like, we all know some medications cause dizziness. Review those with your doctor and try to make sure that, when you take those, you don't have to go grocery shopping or something where you're going to be on your feet and walking around, okay? Hydration and nutrition. Again, I don't think, like I've said this many times, I don't think there's been one episode out of all these episodes that we've done, and like I said, I think this is episode 16 that we're on right now. I don't think there's been one episode where I have not mentioned your water intake. Make sure you are drinking water, because when you get dehydrated, it messes with your body big time, and it can also make you lightheaded. And when you're lightheaded, you're more likely to fall. And your bones also want calcium and vitamin D to stay strong. So get your, vitamin D in, whether that's sunshine or a supplement. Calcium, the same thing. Okay. Outdoor safety. This is another one. Again, we're coming into the fall and the winter season now, and there's plenty of outside hazards. You have uneven sidewalks. Gravel can be difficult to navigate sometimes. wet leaves, ice. These are all nature's booby traps. I call them. So ways to stay steady. First off, your shoes. Let's retire the slick soles, okay? And that's part of why I fell in our kitchen, because the slippers I was wearing are like basically bald tires on your car. Go for supportive, non-slip footwear. Make sure you got some decent tread that's not going to have you sliding or slipping and sliding all over the place. When you're out walking, if you are not that steady walking, use a stick or a cane to help you. A cane doesn't make you old. It makes you smart. Think about like a tripod. 3 points are certainly better than two, so you have your two legs, and if you had a stick, that's a third, basically a third leg, like a tripod. And you will be a lot more steady that way than if in fact you are somebody who is not that steady on your feet. And the big one, slow down. Curbs, steps, and unfamiliar ground are not a race. I know when we were kids, yes, it was, hey, I can beat you to this or that, or, I can run faster. Well, you know what? That ship has sailed. I hate to tell you all, but it has. And I think most of you know this and agree with this. Life is not a race. It might be when you're, in your teens, in your 20s, in your 30s, or, and then, your 40s maybe even still, but you start slowing down in your mid to late 40s as far as, you start realizing, life is not a race. Yes, by that point in time, you should already have, your life pretty well established, I would hope and think. And, again, you're not, when you see a curb or something, take your time. When you're, navigating unfamiliar ground, take your time, look around before you step and all that. All these things are going to help you to keep from falling. Wet leaves look pretty until you step on them and discover your hidden figure skating talent. It's simple as that. Another thing that hurts us is the fear of falling. The fear of falling can make you move more hesitantly, meaning like you're shuffling, you're second guessing your each step, and all of that actually hurts your balance. You can build confidence by stacking the deck. Make the house safe, make yourself stronger, wear better shoes with better traction on them, and use the tools, like I said, like if if you're not that steady outside walking around, use a cane, use a walking stick, whatever. If you're that vain or whatever, where you think that a cane's going to make you look like an old man or an old lady, get a fancy walking stick. There's plenty of those. I've seen them on Amazon, and I've seen them in stores around here. There's there's a lot of ways around it, and you don't have to feel like you're an old man or an old woman, And when you do that, you walk like you mean it. All right, so this episode is short. Like I said, I really did not have time, and I just wanted to put this out, and I don't want to shortchange anybody either, which is why I made the the checklist and the strength, the balance and strength sheet for you. So with that all said, let's get into, my closing. And those of you who have seen me before, I don't close without a biblical encouragement. And this week, our biblical encouragement comes from Psalm 37, verses 23 and 24. And again, the person who made my notes did not make them the way I wanted them, so I am going to read this off of the screen. And this is from the King James Version. I think, again, if you've been with me, you know that the Bible I use is a King James Version, and that's what you see whenever you see something on my screen here. But anyway, Psalm 37, 23 and 24 says, "The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delighteth in his way. Though he fall, he shall not be utterly cast down, for the Lord upholdeth him with his hand." let's just dwell on that for a second. Even when life knocks us off balance, physically or spiritually, God's steady hand is always there. You are not walking this path alone, and really all you have to do is reach out to God. Try and live a good life, and God sees you every day. He does. At least in my belief, he does. And when you're hurting or whatever, there's a steady hand there for you. Okay? So I don't want to turn this into a sermon or anything. So we will move on. Hopefully that verse helps you. And if you're ever feeling, unsteady in life or on your feet or whatever, you can come back to this and look at that verse again, and hopefully it encourages you. All right. Now, like I said earlier, before we wrap this up, I want to remind everybody about the membership that we're going to be launching once we hit 1,000 subscribers. I think right now we are somewhere around 300 subscribers. We need to push that, because I want to get this thing going if at all possible. And it doesn't make sense to do this unless I have 1,000 subscribers here, because out of the 1,000 subscribers here, I'm imagining maybe 1 or 2% of that will join the monthly membership. Hopefully more, but statistically, that's about what one can expect. So, again, doing this, I'm going to have to pay an editor. I am going to have to pay a videographer to video me and all that on the trips that we're going to be taking. But anyways, that's why it's going to be a paid membership, and it's not going to be anything like, $100 a month or anything like that. No, that's crazy. I don't know what the price will be yet. I have to figure all that out still, but I will get that to you. But what will the membership include? Well, let me tell you. Firstly, there are going to be 2, not 1, but 2 digital newsletters every month. That newsletter is going to include an exclusive video. Like, in other words, each newsletter will have 1 video every month, and that video will pertain to healing and holistic wellness. It's also going to have a healthy recipe, and there will be a monthly segment called Road Trip with Roy. That's where I'm going to go visit interesting, historic, and just nice places. And I am going to film that. For example, like the Wright brothers memorial isn't far from here. Well, it kind of is, but, it's relatively close. It's not like I got to get on an airplane or anything like that. Excuse me. But I'm going to go to places like that, and film it. And so this way you can be there with me and see it virtually. I mean, you can, like I said, you can be there with me virtually is what I meant to say. And I like places like the Biltmore. Just all these things. Like, for those of you who might not be so mobile, I thought this might be a good thing where you could actually kind of visit the place with me through the miracle of technology and video. And, you'd be able to look at this whenever you wanted, whoever you wanted to look at it with. And hopefully, that would be something you'd be interested in. Of course, it would be something you would be interested in. So you need to subscribe so we can get to 1,000 subscribers so that we can start this thing. I was hoping to get this going before Christmas, because Biltmore, if you look up, if you do a Google search for Biltmore at Christmas time, it's beautiful. And I think that would be a fantastic trip to take and share with everyone who's on the membership list. It's going to be a website, it's a members only website. So if you're not a member, you won't have access to it, but the videos will be there. The digital newsletter will be there that, like I said, has a recipe. It has holistic things. It's going to have Q&As in there and all kinds of things like that. So it's for the money I'm going to charge. It's a bargain. And like I said, it's not going to be crazy. Maybe $10 a month, maybe 15. I don't know, somewhere in that neck of the woods. All right. And like I said, there's going to be tons of helpful articles and videos, and I would love to see you there when we launch it. So again, we need to hit 1,000 subscribers on this channel first, and then we will launch that. And anybody who wants to can join the membership at that point. Okay. So enough of that. All righty. That's going to do it for this one. A quick recap of what we just talked about. Clear the clutter in your house if you have any, fix your lighting, strengthen your legs and your balance, wear good shoes, and don't be shy about using a cane or a walking stick. And most of all, walk with confidence. God is always with you. And before we wrap up, don't forget, I put together 2 free resources to help you take action on what we talked about today. The first one is the Fall Proof Home Checklist, so you can go room by room and make your home safer. The next one is the Balance and Strength Mini Plan with a quick daily exercise routine to keep you steady. Okay, and those, you'll find both of those links in the description below. So go grab them after you finish watching this and implement them. I made them just for you, so hopefully they will help you. Okay, and stay tuned too, because next week we are starting something new. Episode 17 is going to be building an herbal apothecary. We are going to explore simple natural remedies you can keep right at home. And this one's I think this is going to be fun, and it's also going to be probably at least 2, maybe 3 episodes. If we build a decent, I'm going to show you how to build a decent home apothecary for yourself, which will save you money in the long run because you won't have to run to the pharmacy for over-the-counter meds that may or may not work and stuff. You know what I mean? But anyways, so please tune in, come back next week for that. And like I said, it's probably going to be at least 2 or 3 parts, to do that whole thing, because we're really going to get in depth with that one. Okay. All right. And, I guess that's it. If today's video helped you, please hit like, click subscribe, and share it with somebody you care about. You never know. You sharing this video might just be the blessing somebody has been praying for. And think about that. Let that sink in and think. Just a simple act of sharing this video to somebody who may need this. You could be the miracle they've been praying for. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But anyways, let me know in the comments too. Have you had a fall or a close call recently? Like, did you have like a face plant like I did, or not even so bad as that? What changes have you made to stay steady? I would love to hear your stories, your comments, whatever. So please feel free to put those in the comments section. And also please remember, if you have a prayer request, please let me know. I would be honored to pray with and for you. You can drop your prayer request in the comments below, or if it's of a more personal nature, please feel free to email me at lifeafter55channel@gmail.com. I read all the comments and prayer requests I get there, so rest assured I'm discreet with them. I don't blast them out on the internet or to family or friends or anything. Those are between you and me and God. And I will pray for everybody in whatever circumstance you're dealing with. Just remember, we're not just building a channel here. We are building a community where we encourage and lift each other up. So with that said, let's wrap this one up. And until next time, keep walking steady. Keep walking with faith. I want to thank each of you again for watching. It means a lot to me, and hopefully you're still here watching. And again, I know your time is valuable, and I appreciate you spending it with me. I hope I see you here again next week to build the apothecary. And until then, Lord willing, I will see you next week, hopefully on Thursday. Like the normal time. And again, subscribe, like, and all that, and share this with somebody. If you subscribe and all that, you'll be notified when I put a new video out. So do that, okay? Anyways, Lord willing, I'll see you next week here on Life After 55. Bye-bye.